Charlie. Mark, 1 Charlie.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm full of optimism.
Einstein's theory of relativity.
and we're still seeing it quite well through that haze.
T-minus 37 seconds.
Spike is growing confidence.
E equals MC.
That all men are created equal.
About the future innovations.
And growing strength in the air.
Ignition sequence.
Tear down this
Something's happening. Coming up on staging.
This is Finding Your Frequency with your hosts, Jeff Spenard and Ryan Treasure. It's time to speak up, share your voice, and hear from the thought leaders.
Welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I'm your host, Jeff Spenard.
I'm your co-host, Mr. Ryan Treasure.
And right now we have a very, very special guest. This is a man that I have known for a long time now. Mr. Jordan Kimmel is the co-founder and portfolio manager at Fax Asset Management. It's a New Jersey registered investment advisory firm. Jordan can be seen on CNBC, Fox News, and ABC News, and is often quoted in Forbes and U.S. News and World Report. Jordan has authored 3 books, including The Magnet Method of Investing. Jordan is a longtime personal friend. He has hosted a show on the Voiceamerica network for many years. Jordan was only advising institutions for the last several years. Now Jordan is managing individual accounts again at his RIA. His fax model was discussed by Stephen Covey last month in a Harvard Business Review article. The fax model identifies and invests in the most trustworthy companies in America. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff and Ryan, so great to be with you. And again, as longtime friends and longtime fans of Voice America, when you called, Jeff, I was honored and I jumped at the opportunity. And then when you told me what the show was about, I just thank you for having me. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, it's always good to hear your voice. We've kept in touch for years. We've seen each other, if I've gone to Rhode Island a couple of times, we'll meet up, have dinner. But you know that we always want to do more stuff together because Voice America, we hit Super Bowls and All-Star games and cool stuff that, because we're media, we get to be a part of. And, I've always wanted you to come with us, and I know you want to go. So, we always try to get together when we can.
Hey, well, let me say even before we get into what our discussion's about,
Sure.
One of the favorite times I've always loved doing your show. I think that bringing the message and really having time rather than sound bites on TV
Sure.
to really flush out ideas and have conversations the way you can on the radio. I love your format, and I've always loved Voice America's whole team, so it's great to be with you guys again.
I love that. Jordan, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, more than what I just read. Tell us a little bit about Jordan Kimmel.
Sure. Well, first of all, you made me blush over here, Jeff. I really appreciate that interview. But the long story short is I'm a New York City guy who put himself through school at state universities and studied at Bronx High School of Science. I was always interested in higher math, and basically what I set out is I had my own goals, Jeff. My goal was actually, sounds a little outrageous, sounds a little ambitious, but my personal goal was to be known as one of the greatest investors of this whole era.
Love it.
And I really spent a lot of time just simply understanding not only finances, but what's really cool is that if you call people, and I really give this message to the younger people out there especially, if you call very successful people and offer to buy them lunch or dinner, and you ask them for a half hour at a time, it's amazing how many people will actually say yes to you. And that was my whole path of trying to identify the greatest investors, authors, and portfolio managers that preceded me, learn as much as I possibly could from them. I think my biggest accomplishment, Jeff, is my family and my kids, which I'm most proud of. But all I do is invest, and I turned into a pretty boring guy at this stage of my life, let me tell you that.
Yeah, but you make people money, right?
Yeah.
I hear that probably the last 6 years, you're on the top list for something, right?
Yeah, well, I feel fortunate. The more the market goes my way, Jeff and Ryan, the humbler you need to become. That's a message that I've always learned. But what has happened is I've been known for a while. I've done a lot of media about having extra high returns. What's the most important to me right now, and I'd rather we'll talk about the goals right now, what we have. But what I did is I spent the last 5 years, in fact, building another model that identifies the most trustworthy companies in America. It kind of added on to what I did back at Magnet, and now we have audited track records of almost for the last 4 years that put us in a very, very elite port, and that's all found over, Jeff, at factsinvestor.com. It's F-A-C-T-S, Facts Investor. Facts is an acronym like Magnet was, but I'm fortunate to have these returns. And like Thomas Edison said, I'm lucky, and the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Love it.
Jordan, I really liked your comment before about, you kind of prefaced what the goal of your radio show when you were on, and you were leveraging that radio show to bring on those industry professionals and use the medium and set the goal of finding out as much as you can about every facet of the industry that you're now one of the top individuals in, and being able to set those goals and accomplish them leveraging the Voice America platform really touches on what today's show is about.
Oh, my God. Ryan, what's amazing is some of the people I had to travel far, and I was always willing to buy lunch and dinner. But, on your archives of my shows, we've had folks like, and again, these are, the top investors of this whole generation, Jimmy Rogers and William O'Neill and Michael Steinhardt, and to have full hour-long conversations with them, not only brought your guests a lot of information, but it helped me learn, and you're 100% right, Ryan. This meeting, we've been able to travel around the world through radio, internet radio, and really have discussions, helped me enormously, and anything that I brought to your guests in your show, I feel fortunate for.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Jordan, going back years, when you're first getting into the media business, what was the purpose? What was your goal by doing that? Or did you fall into it?
What happened was, it's so hard in sales and in business, when you're calling people and you're asking them to invest, there's a reflex, no thank you, I'm busy, I know somebody, what have you. But what happens is if you can, and you have to have game to do this, if you can elevate into an expert and come on and have your own radio shows and come on television frequently and keynote major financial conferences, what happens is, and then your numbers are published, people come to you and they say, Jordan, will you manage my money for me? And it's a whole different conversation. So, there's two parts of the radio. One is I love to teach. Some people say I love to hear myself talk, but the fact is I love to share information. And what happens is the opportunity through the show and through media gives you a chance to be held out as an expert and really have people come to you, and also the opportunity to leverage my time and help as many people, because a lot of people are self-reliant investors. They want to try it themselves. They want to learn as much as you can. And having several thousand people on the radio at one point, you just can't do that in a conference, setting.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, that was always one of the interesting stats, when we were looking at radio numbers, and you see people that have, 30, 40, 50,000, and, they don't quite understand or grasp the true total number of 40,000 listeners. And that's like, packing a basketball arena filled with people just to listen to what you have to say. And that in and of itself is establishing and garnering a goal.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, that is one push and pull from a computer. So that's not counting the downloads. Once somebody downloads the content, it's gone. We can't track that anymore.
Yeah, that's like the old adage with magazines. Someone gets a magazine in the mail, and then they drop it off at the doctor's office, and 6 people read it. So that there is a lot of pass-along value with audio content.
And I'll tell you what, Jordan, probably the biggest thing that I recognize with you is that passion you have for your work. That is so key. to success. So when you set out and you put your goals in place, that passion is going to be what gets you there. And to this day, I still hear it in your voice, man.
Well, no, it's really there. And again, I didn't set my goal in a middle bar. I really have a tremendous bar I set for myself. But let me share, when I first got into the business, someone shared with me, and it was actually a cold call. I didn't even know this guy. And he politely said over the phone, Jordan, if your interests are my interests, I'll deal with you for the rest of my life. If your interests are your own interests, it will come out soon enough, and that will be the end of our relationship. And I ended up investing close to, I'm guessing, $50 to $75 million for this gentleman before he passed away. He was my client for 25 years. And the idea of helping other people and putting other people first, in my business, it's so difficult to see people that have, kind of fallen, their feet of clay, whatever mistakes they made, whatever shortcuts they made. And that's why we actually created this new model called FACTS, which not only look for the highest growth companies, but the companies operating with the highest level of integrity. Sure. And Jeff, if you thought I had passion before,
yeah.
which I live and breathe my job, the idea of sharing trust and the most trustworthy companies is so energizing to me, because we've proven that they actually outperform and make people more money.
Sure.
So it's our goal right now. My goal in the past was actually to have the absolute highest returns.
Right.
My goal now is to actually help bring trust back into business while providing high returns.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're trying to really spread that word, because I know, especially with the taste that the public has in their mouth with investing and the way that things had gone since 2008 and some of those debacles in the lending industry and some of that, there was a lot of trust lost in that community, and it's good that you're trying to help build that back.
Needed.
And I know, you go from that pro to that expert status, Jordan. There's no going back now, and with everything you've got going on and what you're putting your passion into, this FACTS model is, I would imagine, going to be extremely successful.
I know he's taken the fiduciary to a whole other level with that trust component for sure.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, and it's so meaningful to me, and I've had a blessed career to look back. I feel very fortunate of the path I took. But for the last couple of years, I've literally only been working with a couple of institutions.
Right.
We've set up a registered investment advisory now where people can see their accounts online. They could actually have smaller amounts of money invested. They don't need to, be left out in the cold, sitting in the bank at 0% with nobody to trust. And so if they could just, get the right trust, get some good returns. I think our goal in the next 10 years, and then by then, I think I'll be kind of a washed-up old guy at that point, and look back and say mission accomplished.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jordan, listen, it was great having you on the show. Do you want to spit out a URL or a...
Yeah, just one last time. It's very simple. The model called FACTS, so it's FACTS, it's FACTSinvestor.com. Beautiful office in Midtown Manhattan. Come see us, come visit, come to the website.
Nice.
Shoot me a note. I'd love to talk to Ryan and Jeff. I really look forward to the next time.
We'll see you next week, my friend.
Jordan, thank you so much for tuning in. Go check us out.
Thanks for being on the show.
Twitter @JeffSpinney2, @RadioRyan1. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned. Finding Your Frequency.
Welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I am your host, Jeff Spenard.
I'm your co-host, Mr. Ryan Treasure.
And what a couple of guests we just had.
Yeah, that amount of knowledge coming from both the executive producer side and the hosting side was just amazing.
Let me tell you something. Pay attention, guys. Jordan Kimmel, guy's been around. He's a humble man. He didn't get into a lot of his true background, with Fox News and, USA Today. And, the guy's been all over the place. Tremendous guest. I actually called him on Wednesday, and he's like, "Yeah, Jeff, no problem. I'll be on the show." So it's always good to have those type of connections.
Yeah, especially when I first started here back in 2004, that was one of those shows that was like, "Hey, Ryan, welcome to the team. Here, you're going to be running Jordan." And so him and I got to build a nice relationship and a rapport over the years. Like, you guys have been friends for a long time.
Absolutely.
So it was great to have him on the show. And then, of course,
Tacey Trump.
the senior Tacey Trump.
Senior Tacey Trump. Yeah, Tacey's been around, well, we're going on like 14 years now. So
02, 01?
02,
yeah.
02 is when she started. I had already been here for a couple of years, and she was the first. I can't say the first, but she's the only executive producer left from the
original.
The I don't know, is it the Golden Age?
Yeah, I think as far as
Golden Era?
longevity at Voice America, like you're obviously the most, and then Tacey is directly underneath you, and then I'm actually below Tacey.
Nice.
Yeah, she's been
Very
here
nice.
longer than me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've got what, 9 years in?
12.
Jeez. Okay. I lose track of time. What the hell do I know? Anyway, yes. So Tacey, she shared some very valuable information. So, please go to the host page, listen to the shows, get that knowledge. If you really want to host a show and you want to give yourself some extra additional training, listen to the guests we've had on our shows.
You got to pick up the book too. Go to jeffspenard.com and go. You can take the book and then also the on-demand content and kind of pair them together to extract a whole lot of knowledge about getting your message out.
Amazon.com, jeffspenard.com. Are we still promoting it on Voice America?
Yep, absolutely. We got banner ads running on the channels and home pages, all linking over to your website for the book.
Also, we're going to start doing some giveaways. Now that we're 5 weeks into the show, we're going to start giving out some books to, say, the third or fifth caller. Starting next week, we're going to start to do some giveaways. So for those of you who are listening to the show, the advantage to listening live now is going to be the call-in. Other than that, we'll have some type of email campaign going, but we want you to be interactive with the show.
Yeah, you guys can call in and talk to us at 866-472-5788. Aaron, our board operator, is in there waiting for you guys to call in on next week's show, and definitely gonna give some books away.
Aaron, you ready to take some calls?
You know it. Give me a reason to be here.
Well, hey, all right. Well, I hope doing the show is a reason for you to be here.
Hey, that too.
Oh, jeez. We're going to have a talk with little Aaron.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
We're going to have to get him a little bit more excited.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, I'm pumped.
We're going to get you to find your frequency, Aaron. Finding your frequency.
Yes, pumped.
Coming up next week, Jeff, we have another interesting show, which will be great. Next week, we're going to be traveling. So we're going to be running our very first episode next week in place of the next show. And then coming up the following week, we'll get into the strategy component of Chapter 5 of the book.
Defining your strategy. You guys, this all runs together. Obviously, each topic, each subject matter that we cover, there's so many different answers to each topic, but for the sake of what we're doing here with Finding Your Frequency, it's all about how to broadcast yourself and your message. So it is about you. It's about who you are. It's about what you have on your mind. It's about how to get that out there, planning it, performing it, and making it work for you. So, that's about the best way I can put it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason why people should be calling into the show when we come back the second week of November with the new pieces of content, because we're really gonna hit it home, and we want to hear from you guys.
That ad tech is going to be I'm really looking forward to going to that. We are going to be meeting up with probably about 9 of our
shout out to Bonnie D. Graham.
Bonnie D. Graham, SAP. We love Bonnie.
Yeah, it'll be great. We'll be, I think checking in maybe at Carmine's in New York. It's in the theater district just outside of the Times Square area, and really getting to know some of our hosts that are out in the New York area that we talk to all the time. We just haven't had a chance to, actually sit next to them other than virtually. So it'll be great.
Voice America is, we're a family. I mean, we're not, like I said, I think it was in the first show, we've got over 250 hosts. If you think that's a big number, it's really not. So we're not a podcast operation where there's 10,000 people dropping in content and, hopefully somebody hears it. we're a tight-knit family. We have several different departments, whether it's production, whether it's graphics, whether it's design, whether it's any department you could think of, voiceover work, pre-recording, everything.
Yeah, the term that I like to use for Voice America is quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
Right? Being able to separate ourselves from the rest of the field by providing nice quality programming.
And that was definitely one of my goals with the company, was to make sure that we are always ahead of our competition.
Yeah, Voice America is not an NBC, ABC, or one of those gigantic networks that has a whole bunch of regulations.
The billion-dollar pockets.
Yeah, that it's self-generated, grassroots content and uncensored, which is what makes VoiceAmerica.com the leader in live internet talk radio.
Yes, it does.
Next week, that show that we're going to run, I think you guys will really enjoy that show. It's the first show that we did where Jeff and I talk about a little bit who we are and our background, and we'll be rerunning that show for you guys to take a look at and get caught up with where we've gone in the last 4 weeks with the Finding a Frequency radio show series.
Yeah, it's always good to recap and get a little history, figure out who Voice America is, where we're going, what the future looks like. So, yeah, we're building. We've got a lot of live events scheduled. It's about time to plan for 2017.
Yep.
So we've got a session there, and we actually went shooting yesterday.
We did, and we already have something set up for 2017. First thing, March right here in Scottsdale with the Pitbull event as they come back into town, and we'll be, rocking that event just like we have done this year in 2016, but right here in our own backyard. And I definitely want to give a strong thank you to our two guests that were on today. Yes. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Tacey.
Absolutely. And our Twitter handles?
At Jeff Spinney2, at Radio Ryan 1. Go check us out, facebook.com/Voice America.
And Spinney is SPINNY.
That's right.
Jeff Spinney2.
So I'm Ryan Treasure, and this is...
And I'm Jeff Spenard.
Yeah, we're coming to you live from the Voice America studios right here in lovely Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to come back to you with the next session about building your strategy coming up in the second week of November. So make sure you guys tune in for that interactive radio show. Call in at 866-472-5788. And we'll see you right back next week on Finding Your Frequency.